Maletele umatau wa maiti munga Yesu mai olima Ya la 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 Ya la 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 Ya la 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 Ya la 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 Ya la la la
Fata lo vatu tanto o tunu le fa fonga tampo ai mai tutuila mamanu ai mai so Samoa antoa ile ne yaso o le aso na nafine tu vai sai ma America Samoa nisi o autoa Samoa ta wina le tawar sa tonga ile ngata o pui pui ngale United States ma le langi ai fa pena foi masio tanto territory nei o nei pese tai da fa toa ele tap span e mori ai o lanto lo fanga mo so se toa Samoa i so se ta fa toa ile langi
tangi ele fatu Masusu ile ele Be amanatu ile ona ufo atoa utamafana upele Taumafai iya filemu ole lalo langi Imalo uma ae maise ainga matanga tata itasi El foro uloto ila uta utonga tu uoti Aole atua na tefa atoa inalo malosi Leao malepo ilo uti tefa afita fita Itaini uma italo sangalo ainga Olo olawa amatu umaya utotonga Temoi loi mata ola utatalo ile atua ya eona Tol Samoa utetu Tapuai Ia eto efo imai ai ngaro ono fofa atali Te faatu sa oe ile taulanga anafanu Taumo Samoa umama le talitonu ile atua Watali maile langi le sa olotonga waiainei Samoa ele imo alea uafai aimo usei Walava useboe ilo umana tuatu Beete toe fo imai Musu epea ilo ufatu Tatalo ile atua Alofangia oso ulangona Ya awane isolo le falu tepe Afe osemala ilo mola Olo ola wa amatu umaya utontonga Temoi loi mata ola utatalo ile atua I Ya eola To mata ola utata loile atua I ya e ola Tot Samoa ute tu ipea mata puai Ia e toe fo I mai ai ngaro ono fofa atali Olo ola wa amatu ungai o utontonga Te moi loi mata ola utata loile atua I ya e ola Tot Samoa ute tu ipea mata puai Ia e toe fo I mai ai ngaro ono fofa atali Ia e toe fo I mai ai ngaro ono fofa atali
Yeah, Malo.
Talofa again and welcome. I am Salis Olaita,
And I am Isaiah Vimoto.
and we are your hosts for Toa Talk. For those of you joining us for the first time, Toa Talk is a professional development platform streaming live conversation with the intent of edifying, informing, and educating. Well, thanks again for taking the time to connect with us tonight. We're back with our series, Their Story. We have invited a very special guest for our conversation, but first, let's pause for some shout outs. Well, Isaiah, my first shout out here is centered more around a prayer request. And just for all of those who are watching, we all who follow the NFL have seen the injury in the past two games for Tua Tagovailoa. And we all know that, he has officially suffered a concussion. And this is just a shout out and to send out a prayer to him and his family, and so that he may recover quickly and come back and play or whatever the right answer is, for his health. So we're lifting two up in prayer. So the second shout out is to Talanoa Hufanga. For those of you who are following the 49ers, he looks very much like a former Steelers that we know, and by the name of Troy Polamalu, and he also actually plays like him. So Talanoa Hufanga right now is, I believe he was from USC. He was a fourth round draft pick for the 49ers, and he's really proving his value and his worth right now on the 49ers team as a safety. And so just big ups to this brother here, based on his last name, Hufanga. I believe he's of Tongan descent. So, hey, Isaiah, I mean, there's Troy Polamalu incarnated right there, but I think to you, he's on the wrong team. But to me, hey, he's on my Niners team.
There you go.
So that's on my mind.
That's right. No, yeah, prayers up to Brother Tua, and yes, and kudos to Talanoa. As we mentioned earlier, yeah, he may be playing for the Niners now, but I think Troy's doing some, if Troy is training him or, helping, hopefully he convince him to, sign up with the Steelers next. But we'll see. But Sally, yeah, so October, this month of October, is actually domestic violence prevention month. And also, which I didn't know there's a thing, National Bullying Prevention Month. So those are big things for this month of October. Something that we all can kind of take to heart and be aware of. Also, this month, kind of shout out to my partner, my buddy there. That's General Allen right there, and my Dragon Six. He and I served some time together before. We were First Cavalry Division, commander and sergeant major, deployed to Afghanistan together. Man, what a great American. He's just a truly a man of God. When you talking about what I've never seen a general officer give a prayer. I mean, but man, he and I would do a battlefield circulation. When it's time to eat, I'll yell out, "Hey, before we serve, let's bless the food." And then my boss would say, "That's right." I said, "Sir, you want to have the honor?" He was always stepping up. He'll give a little verse from the Bible, how that relate to us as soldiers. Then he'll bless the food. Man, he's a man. But for those that don't know, I mean, yeah, he went on his last assignment. He was the vice chief of staff of the Army. He served his time, and then he retired there in outside of Fayetteville. So whatever that little area in Chaplain, probably the same house where, I mean, he bought a home right there where you had a house before. Got the lake there in his backyard. He's got a boat, things like that. So I guess you could say the rich and famous. Yeah. So anyway, so yeah, so shout out to my battle buddy and my ranger buddy there, General Allen. And last thing I'll share, for shout out is next week is AUSA 2022. This is AUSA convention for our families who are not familiar with AUSA. So this is an annual meeting. AUSA stands for Association of the United States Army. You can be a member, whether you're in the Army or not. You can sign up, become a AUSA member. But again, so next week is a whole week of really just so much stuff going on. But they kick off the meeting Sunday, this coming Sunday, with an Army 10 miler. So it's 10 miles, so you can go run, you walk, but it's nice because it's around the DC area. You can run across the Potomac, you can run across all the monuments out there, and it's really, so it's a nice way to kick off. And then throughout the week, so here's kind of what you're seeing. So attendees, so average, this is from last year, 33,000 attendees at this event. It's a week-long event. Also, so while all this stuff is going on, there's 650 plus exhibitors. So these are different vendors selling stuff to the military, or partners, anywhere from health to food to clothing, equipment, gear, weapons, anything that soldiers use, the military, they got them here. Even insurance, life insurance. People are down there selling their life insurance. Even furniture place. They found, you just, it's up to, I mean, 650 something plus exhibitors. So then there's 150 plus sessions that goes on throughout the week. And when I say sessions, so these are like Army topics. These are military topics. These are topics anywhere from, what's the future of the Army? Okay, what's kind of weapon system? So we got some, speakers that comes in, or, these are top of the line speakers. If it's health, you got Dr. So-and-so that comes in, or whatever the case may be. But you choose which one of those sessions you want to attend, and you can just go on and sit in. And those sessions are anywhere from an hour to whatever. There's also lunches and dinners that you can sign up for. It comes out of your pocket. There are some free lunches as well. But man, there's so much going on. And then what I didn't know, but they said there's also 80 plus countries that attend our conference here. And when we talk about, maybe different armies send their people, because man, this is top of the line discussions. And if you want to know what the American Army is about, come into one of these sessions, because anywhere from the little infantry guy with his weapon to a pilot, what kind of new system they're coming in. But a theme for this year for the AUSA is building the Army of 2030. 2030. Ladies and gentlemen, we're in 2022, but the Army is already looking ahead a few years from now. Where do we want to be, next 10 years? And that's just why, and I think because we keep doing these things, I think that's why we are the most powerful Army military in the world, because we don't just look at now. We look at where we want to be the next 5 to 10 years, So anyway, I can go on, but those are just kind of big things, Sally, and I want to, share. But let's move on.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, this is about that time of the show where we'd like to highlight some local artists, and this one here is we'll explain a little bit after we play this video. So Please enjoy.
Tino tuma sila lope mo se avanoa se ia feani se no foa matasa asa abetalia la tato maana taui ani isene atu ufua manela fula fua tu ai leo ulangona fainata o walofana va ai yo fofo malo te ena olangona ile po sola eui ina motu fa ape yo se pole monieto ye polonga Soma ia punga mafaufaunga ia mo se tali tutusa Ai fa atali se ilafo atau le afi afi Ai ta fa ahe sangai Aululonga namuilo ufatu eliule pope o fetu Ona o fai atu ai leo ulang ona fai ngata o walofana
All right. That's a
So,
good
yeah,
song, Sally.
that's
Yes.
O Walofana. That's the name of the song by Puni. But can you please explain who these singers are?
Yeah, I tell you, I love that song. I mean, I like their style too. They're more modern. But Punita, for those you guys, that's Punya Lava, the band Punya Lava. But that's Puni, but they're the son from I mean, and then the daughter. I mean, the young lady right there. I was told that she's the daughter of one of uh, the Punya Lava's daughter, older daughter. So I mean, I've seen that little girl, in their previous videos a few years ago. I mean, she's been singing with them, and look at her, she's all grown, and she's got a pretty voice. And that guy right there, he's like, they're both pretty good. Man, and they're a new style. I mean, they're taking it to the next level. So they're one of those
I mean,
few old, yeah, they're one of those few old Samoan band. I'm sure our guest is very familiar with back in the when it was just a few of them. Now it's like the family's doing their thing, and now their kids are doing the band. Now their grandkids are also part of it. So good stuff.
that's good stuff.
Well, I love that song. It's a good choice, Sally. I'm sure our guests probably enjoy that. But let's go ahead and anything else before we get started?
No, I'm pumped for this guy.
Yeah. All right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, you're in for a treat. Our guest tonight is a dear friend, a Toa o Samoa, an Army soldier, and a man of God. He is currently the command chaplain for the Brooke Army Medical Center and could be, well, be the first Samoa general officer. That's my prediction. if she stays in, he could be, So please put your hands together and welcome Chaplain Colonel Vaioa. All right. Well, Chaplain, welcome.
Thank you.
Uh,
Thank you.
So you are live. You're now. Um, yes, hope I got it right. What do you think about our the Punyalava song right there? I know that's one of your favorite groups there.
Well, it reminds me I think their parents,
Yes.
they're the one who started the group. Um, and I think it's one of the first group
Yeah.
who started having recording
Yes.
and became popular
Yeah.
with our people. Was
Yeah.
it that 70s, the 80s, or
Yeah.
something like that?
Yeah. In the 70s. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. They're up there alongside the the
Mm-hmm.
Penino Tiafau,
Yeah.
Punyala. I
Yeah.
mean the Tiama'a.
Yeah.
All those guys. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
you were probably here when we brought them. I think they came here for one of our Samoan Culture Week. So they performed at the
Yes.
down in Tacoma. Yeah,
Yes. Yeah.
yeah. They were supposed to come again this past July, but I guess they had plans
Okay.
already, so they didn't make it this time.
Are they still doing that? So like a Pacific
Yeah, Samoan
week or
Culture Week.
Samoan
Samoan
Culture Week?
Culture Week. Yeah, that's every. We just had that was in July, so that's
Mm,
our 12th annual. So it's an annual thing. So
good. Yeah.
yeah. So that's it was good. It was very good this year. Yeah, it's very
Good.
good. Yeah.
That's good.
All right. All right,
Well,
Sally. Yeah,
well,
let's kick it off.
Chaplain, again, thank you for being here and blessing us with your presence. But just up front, can you just please tell our viewers about you, where you're from, your family hobbies, likes and dislikes?
Okay. Well, first of all, I'd like to thank Vimoto and yourself for inviting me to this tour talk platforms. It's my honor to join you guys and also sharing my experience or my humble experience as a soldier uh, and a chaplain in the U.S. Army. Well, about myself, I grew up in Pango. Um, my mother is from the Mangeo family there in Pango Pango. My father is from Samoa,
Mm.
from the village of Solo Solo. But so I went to school there at Pango Elementary School. Follow Samoana High School. So I attended Samoana High School. And then after Samoana High School, I attended the ASC, American Samoa Community College. And after I completed the American Samoa Community College, I moved to Hawaii and attended a Wayland Baptist University program there. And then when I finished there in Hawaii, I came to Texas to attend it or do my seminary study at Southwestern Baptist Theological Seminary up here at Fort Worth, Dallas. So, so that's a little about where I'm from and my way to the Army. I am not a prior service.
Mm.
I'm not a prior service. So I guess I don't know how you guys call a brand new officer, in the Army. But I came. As I look back, I guess it was a way that, all of us, God has a plan for our lives, So after high school, I decided, to go to community college. Several of my classmates, they immediately joined the military, and they did well. But I decided to stay and went to the American Samoa Community College.
Mm.
But the funny thing is, I never heard of a chaplain. Never heard of chaplain because most of our guys, they're either infantry or something else.
Mm.
Never heard of a chaplain until I got here in Texas, attending a seminary that I heard about it, about a military chaplain. And then I decided to check it out. I said, okay, what is it? So I went and talked to a representative, a individual that was heading a department that deal with or recruiting seminary students who want to pursue military service and as chaplains. So I went and had a meeting with the representative, and he told me all about it. At this time, I was still in school. I think it was after my first year. So he advised me that I can become a candidate. That's I can become a candidate because I cannot become a chaplain unless I finish my my degree, and there's other stuff that the church has to do in order for me to become a chaplain. So while I'm studying at seminary, I applied to be a candidate in a chaplain corps, and then I asked about other services. I asked about the Air Force. I asked about the Navy. But he told me, okay, with the Navy, right now we don't have any slot. The Air Force was the same, but the Army, a lot of slots.
The Army always have slots, huh?
The Army's always have slots.
The biggest, yeah.
So he advised me. He says, okay, you will have more chance to get in the Army as a chaplain if you join the Army candidate program. So that's what I did. I accepted in a candidate program. At the same time, I was in school. In the summer of '96, while I went into the Army basic chaplain course, South Carolina, Fort Chaplain, South Carolinas. So after that, I came back to school, finished it up, my schooling, and then throughout that period of time while I'm in school, I was able to do the intern. One of my intern was up at Fort Leavenworth. One of my intern was with the VA. So I graduated from the seminary in December of 1997, and then they assessed me in February of 1998, and that's when they called me and told me that I've been accepted
Nice.
to active duty as a lieutenant chaplain.
Yeah.
So My first duty station was at Fort Sill, Oklahoma, the home of the archery.
Mm.
So,
Wow.
so that's, I wanted to stop there and
Yeah.
see if there are any other questions
Yeah.
before I go further. So that's just my beginning.
That's good. So I guess no, you're right. So that's good, Chaplain. So you kind of bring it up to the next point then. Like so, we didn't know if you were prior service, if you were artillery before, if you were infantry or supply, and then you transitioned. We didn't know that. We were just kind of guessing, So, but that's good. Now that we know that you came straight in from high school to college to seminary to the chaplain candidate school, and then in the army as a so you pretty much kind of told the story, how you got there. So based on what the recruiter told you, what the chaplain thing is all about, and then when you when you went to the candidate school, is that what did you? I mean, let me make sure I'm asking the right question. So, what was your experience there? Did they? Because most of the time recruiters tell you, things just to get you in, but when you got in there, it's a total different picture, So was expectation what they told you when you arrived at the candidate school?
Yeah, I think the recruiter for the chaplaincy is, right now I know is different from the regular recruiter, for services,
Right.
because the only focus, their focus was the chaplaincy,
Mm.
But we don't deal with the recruiter until after we talk to this individual. We call an endorser.
Right.
Each denomination or each church have an officer. There is not a government office. Is a church headquarter individual or office that their main job is recruiting their own
denomination chaplain.
Yes, their own minister. To become their representative in any service, in any chaplain service of our military. So that's the first person we deal with. Is after we meet with that individual, and that individual recommend us then to the recruiter.
Nice.
The military recruiter. So the only thing that we work with the recruiting is now the paperwork. Getting what are the documents that we need to complete, and other army. Other army. Now I'm speaking other army requirements for a civilians to become a service member.
Well, let me ask this then, Chaplain. So when you finished high school, when you went to American Samoa Community College, what were you hoping? What were your goals? Were your goal is to become a chaplain in the future, or when you went to school, what was the purpose? What were you going for?
There was two goals that I had when high school and the community college. First, I want a better life than I had growing up. Okay. And then the second one was to become a minister.
Oh, okay. So you already had that before you went to college.
I already had that in my mind.
Yeah.
I want to be a minister. If I was not a minister, I wanted to do well, get a job, a good job.
Yeah.
So those are the two things. But here's it was my church. I grew up at Happy Valley Baptist Church. I don't know if you guys probably. It's not a huge denomination on the island, the Baptist Church. I grew up the Baptist Church. It's through my church and my education that guide me to the chaplain corps to become a chaplain. It drew me to look at the chaplaincy because first was, okay, it's still a ministry. I'm a chaplain. I'm still doing ministry. And the second is like, okay, this kind of neat, to be in the military, to be a minister, So I'm already, my desire was to become a minister. Now the military thing is adding to it. And then okay, I think I can do it. I say to myself, I think I can do it, the military part. So, because I knew I had a classmate that joined the military. So I said, okay, so I guess answer your question, Bimoto. That's, I want to be a minister. I want to further my education in order to be a better minister. I guess that's.
Yeah. Well, that's good. I'm glad, because all of us can't be infantrymen. So, somebody's got to take another route, right? Who was that says somebody had to take that road not taken, or the road less traveled.
Yes.
And I think you took that road less traveled, because all of us Samoan kids want to go to that populated road that leads to the infantry or the combat arms stuff. All right. No, that's good. Thanks, sir, Chaplain. Yeah.
All right. So the next question, it sounds a little bit more like it's diving into the moral dilemma, arena. But the question is, have you ever done anything contrary to your creed as a chaplain in order to support your senior mission commander's guidance?
We have, and I know Sergeant Major, you're familiar from leaders, right? There are things, when the commander wanted us to do something, right? He or she always first let us know his or her intent and guidance.
Right.
But however, at the same time, they know that all the chaplains have their specific religious belief that cannot be compromised.
That's right. Yeah.
But it's our duty as a chaplains to make sure that we provide that service that needed, right? So if something that my commander tells me that he or she wanted me to do, and I know is not, I'm not required as a minister from my church to do, right? I can find someone else who can do it.
Yeah.
But they never asked me to do anything illegal.
Yeah.
Or
immoral.
So no, but
Okay.
there are, there are issues that come up, or things that, somebody want us to do that we cannot because of our religious faith and background.
Okay.
So I don't know if I answer your question, Sally, or not.
Yeah. No, it's good. No, I think, I think the reason why, we kind of, the question Solly asked was more like, I say, there's always as Solly mentioned, a moral dilemma, and I think, as you mentioned, I think we know the answer, but, we have non-military that view our viewers, they may not understand that, but I think it's important that they know, hey, that we all have creeds, and the chaplain, you're based on there's certain parameter of things that you can and cannot do, things like that. And I think all commanders, senior commanders, are aware of those, parameters, and I think, as you move up the ladder, the 2, 3-star, 4-star level, it seemed like every time the commander talks, he look at his Jag, how we doing? Are we good? Oh yeah, you're good, sir. You know, that kind of thing. You know, or sometimes if he feels that it's encroaching the chaplain's the spiritual realm, he will look at you. You know, so we're aware of that. But I think it's good to hear from you. You know, mainly for our viewers to understand that. Hey, you know, there's a we have strict guidelines, or you know, that as a chaplain that you know we can't sway from. We have responsibility, and then we'll talk about that. I think you will have the opportunity to talk about that here later. But let's move on. So thanks, sir, Chaplain. So the other thing, so for our viewers not familiar with the duties and responsibilities of a chaplain, Chaplain, could you please explain the primary role of an Army chaplain? I mean, you don't have to list the whole 5-page manual and stuff like that, but just kind of the things that you're, you know, from your things that you do every day. Yeah.
The number one primary role of a chaplain is facilitate the free exercise of religion. That's the main primary role of 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 the chaplains. So, and the second is you know, to advise the command on about religious issues that impact soldiers, family members, and the mission. But you know, our number one is the, you know, facilitated the free exercise of religion. What does that mean? It's for us to make sure that everyone who is who's serving in army, um, is free to exercise his or her religion. You know, so we help to facilitate that through, okay, providing the facility, the time, uh, the resources for them to be able to do that. There's a two way. One is an individual one. Okay, as an individual person, no matter who you are free to believe what you believe. Okay, as a soldier, as a family member, that's, you know, one part. The other part is the organization portion, or you know, exercise of religion. You know, that's other parts. So that's the part where we do a communal, like, you know, worship service. Make sure that the groups who now wanted to meet, you know, the military guidance, the defense of the Department of Defense guidance on group meeting. You know, so we're not. So there's two parts there. One, okay, is an individual person's, is that person is free to believe and exercise what his faith belief is. The other is facilitating this organization worship service and faith group.
Yeah.
So those are the two main things we focus on.
Okay. Oh, thanks, sir, Chaplain.
So there's a lot of, you know, you've heard, you know, people say, hey, you know, things have changed over the years, you know, with whatever it was in the Army, but for, you know, for the chaplains corps, you know, what changes are you seeing in the chaplains today compared to when you first became one?
Well, there's a lot of change. Yes, in policies. When I came in, there was no same-sex marriage. That, you know, that was not there. But now it's part of the military. Transgender was not. There were probably people, you know, who were, but was not something, you know, that. So those are big changes. And then when we, I'm just using those two things, right?
Right.
So those things, those policy really had create a lot of challenge for a lot of chaplains, depend on their faith group, where they come from, whether their faith group accepted same-sex marriage or no, or they do. And there are some, some of the religion or faith group that accept it, right? And there are other faith group that are not. I'm coming from the background, from the faith group that don't accept it, right? So the challenge for me is how can I make sure that I do what the Army wants me to do without compromising my faith, right? So that is a challenge that I, because the Army cannot force me to compromise my faith because of this policy.
Right.
Right? So it's something that I, well, first of all, is really for me to understand what the law says, what the policies is, and then understanding what my faith group allowed me to do. Okay, so talking and giving advice for, I'm going to use this as an example, right? So training, counseling for any, I can do that for anybody. Okay, the thing I cannot do because I'm not allowed by my faith group to do, I cannot marry a same-sex couple. That just so, but as a chaplain, I can counsel them, provide them financial counseling, marriage counseling, career counseling, personal counseling. I can do educations for them, but the things I cannot do is I cannot marry them. So that's the challenge that I have to navigate it, the policy, the Army policy, and my faith. So for I don't know if that's a challenge that some of our tour have, who are not chaplain, but it's really a challenge for me, and I know some of the chaplains that I know, the chaplain that I serve, is because the church says, this is what you do, and the army and the military says this is what you do. So you just have to know where that line, because you guys probably heard of chaplains being accused of not providing service or say something or do something that's contrary to some of the policies, about same-sex marriage, stuff like that. So I'm just using that as an example. So let's somebody else has another
So,
question.
so I guess just to dive a little bit into this again. So let's say it is like it is that same-sex marriage or whatever, but like it goes against your faith. Do you sometimes in your role as a chaplain try to find a chaplain that is allowed to do that, is allowed that doesn't compromise their faith to marry a same-sex couple?
Yes, absolutely. Because there are chaplains who are allowed by their faith group to perform marriage for same sex. So yes, that's where the work, the coordination comes to. See, I can do that. I can provide counseling to them. I can speak to them. I have no issue See, this is a thing. I have no issue to talk to anybody. I have no issue to help, but there are certain things I just can't do. Can do, and like a performing a wedding for them. But I have no issue talking to them. I have no issue to support them, or respect is a thing. That's I always the thing I learned is I don't have to agree with everybody. However, um, I want to respect everybody. I think that's what I learned. Um, respect everybody. I don't have to be agree with everybody, but we can work in this environment with respect of each other and what we can bring into the team.
Yeah. Oh, that's good. That's good, Chad. I think that's probably the key thing right there is kind of like is treating people with dignity and respect.
Yeah.
But from the ministry side of the house,
Yes.
it's not only dignity and respect, but also with love.
Yes.
Because if I'm not mistaken, the center core of the ministry is all about love, showing
Yeah.
God's love,
Yeah. Yeah.
to
Absolutely.
everyone,
You're right.
regardless of race, creed, or religion or something.
Mm-hmm.
So, no, that's a good question. But so let me. It's the same question, but I guess what I want to know, I guess. So you're looking at from the policy side, some of the changes you've seen. What about like conduct wise, because from Chaplain. And the reason why I think what comes to my mind is I remember as a young infantryman out in the field. I always see my chaplain out there, whether it be rain or snow. He's always, out there sneaking up behind our foxhole. Hey, how you doing in there? Here's a piece of candy or here's a piece of good. He always have something. And then as I mature in the army and move up, I see other chaplain, they will come in, like, hey, he will hand out these piece of strips of paper, which is, like a spiritual thought, for the
Mm-hmm.
day, or sometimes word for the day. I've seen that. And then sometimes as I move up to, in the ranks, I see some chaplain, they were always present, PT, hey, first sergeant, can I jump in? Hey, come on in, chaplain. But then as maybe 10 years ago, I think I seen a change. I hardly see my chaplain unless there's a meeting, unless there's a battalion mass formation, you know. But I always see, I mean, sometimes you see him in formation, I mean, PT in the morning, you see him and his assistant, they're kind of running off, in places. So I see that's kind of the trend I'm seeing is they don't, I guess, a participatory, like the chaplains of old, they're always with the troops. But it seemed like as we, the last 10 years, I'm saying, it seemed like most of the chaplain, they're kind of like fighting from the behind their desk, so to speak, unless they have a meeting to go to, unless there's, hey, whatever, summoned, to go somewhere, you know. That's kind of, I guess that's, from my perspective, and I'm assuming you're nodding, so I'm assuming you agree with what I'm saying as well. Is is there a policy or something that caused that change, that shift, or is just more or is personality, thing?
I think it's personality and responsibility.
Mm,
Those are the two. When I was a battalion chaplain, we all started out in a battalion level. Uh, is how the question is, how can I develop that relationship with my soldiers, right?
mm,
And the way to do it is that get involved with, go see them when they're training, participated in what they do, whether it's PT or any activities, go see them when they out there do their training, the monthly training, the squad training, platoon, the FTX. You'll find a chaplain everywhere, right?
yeah.
So, and then from that, it's at the same, and then you get to the major, being a major in the brigade, you still have that kind of, okay, I'm there, I need to relate it to my soldiers. I wanted to do things with them, to get to know them, get training. Then you get on another level where your responsibility is more on sort of like operational, right? Things come in, things goes out. Somebody who can answer the phone, answer the email, all the requirements that comes, data and stuff like that. Now, it's more focused on that kind, because now you have to spend most of your time, make sure these requirements, whether there's briefing, the data collection, coordinations. So the higher you go up, it's like the less time you spend with
troops.
soldiers. You focus on just the command,
Yeah.
And then the good thing is, if you have a deputy or another chaplain with you, now their one of their responsibilities is to deal with the soldiers, but you more like, okay, you look up to make sure you're taking care of the senior leaders.
Yeah.
So, but sometimes it's just a personality thing.
Personality. Okay. No, thanks. No, that's good because I've seen it. I think we're all seeing that shift, that shift there. And the chaplains of old compared to the new generations of chaplain nowadays. So, all right. Well, let's continue on. So chaplain, do you have any? What's your least favorite assignment? And out of that least favorite assignment, what did you learn from it? And so while you're thinking, I was thinking, the spiritual realm, we all have challenges that we face every day, right? We all have our own trials and tribulations, but it's how we deal with it, is another thing.
Yeah.
So, and I think that's kind of like that assignment. Hey, every assignment you learn something. It's not all bad. It might be your least favorite, but we always learn something.
Yeah. I think.
So what do you say?
There was, I even, I was at Fort Polk. I was assigned to Fort Polk, but that was one of my best assignment. Is to me, it's not the location, it's the people.
Yeah.
So it's the people that I work with. I think the most challenging assignment was when I was with the 2CR as a regimental chaplain for the 2CR.
Is that in Germany or when they moved to Fort Hood?
That's in Germany.
Okay, right.
Yeah, a part of that. I think that's the only assignment that I felt was more challenge to me.
Yeah.
Personality-wise, different. You work with this. It was a PCT. And you work with different people who they have their own way of doing things. They have their thought process is different. So and that time was also doing deployments. That was the only time part of that to the as a regimental chaplain, that I felt was more challenge. And then,
did you gain anything? Did you gain anything from that assignment?
There's several things I learned from that assignment. Is strengthened my faith.
Yeah.
Okay, hey. First of all, why am I here? I am a chaplain. I call. This is my call. This is God brought me here. So just trust the Lord. Trust, that's, it strengthened my faith to, okay, just lean on to the things that guide you here, right? And then second is, okay, don't give up. Just continue, be faithful to the call, and work hard, do the best you can at where you at. So that's what I did. I trust the Lord. I did the best I can at that time. And the thing is, we don't stay at certain assignment forever. We always transition. That's the good thing about the military. You move, but yeah, working with people that's one thing. They don't give up. Just continue working with people, working with them, and I that time I was a major, so I don't know if I had decided that I'm going to give up, I don't like this, and I don't know if I would be where I am, but
Well, like they say, Chaplain, God is good, right?
yeah, God is good.
And he's
It doesn't
and
matter.
he
God is good. Whatever happens.
and he's good all the time.
Yes,
It is us that may not be good all the time, but God's always going to be good.
I know.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. No, that's good. But because as you mentioned, we're all in the military. We all have those favorite assignment, and then there's always that least favorite assignment. But even with that least favorite assignment, we can always learn something. It's always a
Yes.
takeaway. As you
Yeah.
said, the strength in our own faith, or you gain more
Yeah.
knowledge and experience. That you can
Absolutely.
use in another assignment.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's good. All
Yes.
right. Well, let's continue on.
So thinking back from, your brief history as a chaplain all the way up until now, as a command chaplain, what are some basics about the unit mystery that you'd like to get back to, and why?
Well, when I first started as a battalion chaplain is something that the sergeant major mentioned. Being with the soldiers, do what they do, uh, involve, because that develop a relationship. But life's changed. Like there are things. When I was brag, I was jump. I can run. But as you grow older, those things you can't do anymore. You know, um, but just going back to that, um, the basic of ministry to be with soldiers, to be where they to go and see what they do, and be present and able to experience the up and down of what they do as a junior of soldiers. So I think those are uh, the basic of the ministry. Is just be with soldiers all the times, in that level.
No, that's good. Yeah, and you're absolutely right. I think we kind of allude to that earlier, and how that that absent, or the chaplain from, But again, a lot of like soldiers of today, the absence of the chaplain in their, to them, okay, well, I never seen a chaplain, so they don't know, They just don't know. They say, oh, what does the chaplain do? I don't know. I never seen that guy. But for some of us old timer who always used to seeing chaplains
Mhm.
running, or they're out there calling cadence, helping us out, or be at the range like you alluded to earlier, we don't that we don't see, we're not seeing that anymore. So to the soldiers today, it's normal. That's the normal chaplain's duty. But for some people that came a little earlier, they're not seeing that. So that's kind of, I guess, a basic that some will be nice. It'll be nice for them to get back to, because that's how your troops. But how many times have we deployed where, you see all these new guys coming? Who are those guys? The trust is built here in peacetime. The trust is built down, the line where the more you see that person, okay, man, I really like that guy. Every time he comes around, there's always positive vibes, right? And then the more they come around, they build that rapport with troops. And not only that, but that trust. If soldier, if they have an issue, well, I'm gonna go see the chaplain, rather than, well, I don't know who that guy is. I'm not gonna go talk to somebody I don't know. So I think that's you hit I think you mentioned that critical point right there, is being, get back there and with soldiers, because that's how you build that trust. When you build that trust with troops, they can actually come to you, that neutral guy, and for guidance, advice, what have you, even spiritual guidance. All right. So we already, chaplain, you already mentioned, there's some of the responsibilities of a chaplain. You mentioned, I think the top three I wrote down: religious freedom, all right, advice, advising the commander, and as a chaplain, as a counselor, just kind of like the three top pillars I wrote down from what you mentioned earlier. So now, can you elaborate on that role, your role right there as a counselor? I think you kind of mentioned here, I mean, some throughout the conversation, but as a counselor, what are you counseling? I mean, uh, and again, I think if you can also mention the sensitivity of, some of those, mainly for our viewers, because it's not something where after you counsel, you go to the commander, hey, I just talked to Brother Sully today, and oh yeah, that guy's all messed up, man. So, yeah.
Truth.
When when it comes to personal issues like uh, soldiers or a couple who's seeking a marital counseling, okay, so and then because of some of the conflicts they have in their marriage, or finance issue they have in their marriage, um, personality, issues, or uh, parenting issues. So those of the things that we sit down with a couple, and our role is to facilitate it, and then find ways to or give them advice, and let them uh, uh, take those advice, and our we can't do anything uh, for them. What we can do is to give them the advice, some of the tips, or for them to, okay, can if you guys do this, okay, and we know this has been working uh, uh, for a couple, that because we know through studies and research that uh, a couple who is struggle with finance, okay, for example, okay, or we say, okay, what is your finance plan? What is your budget plan? How is that working right now? And where is the conflict? Is it one is spending too much, okay, without the other one knowing? Well, we all, so we focus on, okay, if the issue is that, okay, we are one person is spending too much, and we are not able to do this. So we'll find way of, okay, what is the important thing here? Okay, is it the water bill, the lights bill, or something I want to spend with it, like a new, clothes or something like that.
The Wi-Fi.
Yeah, or a Wi-Fi, or
That's
or
important now, Chaplain.
or instead of a $200 iPhone, I want a $1,000 iPhone.
Yeah.
Okay, what can you afford, and why do you want a $1,000 iPhone, and not the $200 iPhone?
Because the Jones got it.
There you
I
go.
want one too.
Yeah, because I don't want anybody to say, hey,
Yeah.
you have a cheap phone, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
so we get into, okay, why, and then so we go into, okay, why do you feel that way?
Yeah.
Because there's a reason for everything,
That's right.
right?
Yeah. Mhm.
Am I, so, and then look at, okay, now you struggle, and then part of it, okay, the communication thing with families, you know we all know, she's not telling me everything. We don't talk. We don't plan. We don't. So we help them to say, okay, can you guys do this so that you guys be able to. This is how to communicate. Okay, because there's other issue with marriage, like, okay, if I talk, he get mad, right? Or if he talk, she doesn't listen. Okay, we don't work together. So it's our duties to give them uh, advice and some tips or things to do that bring them to the point where they're able to have a communication.
Yeah. So pretty much them solve. You provide the tools, and they solve kind of. You want them to solve their own problem.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
it's like I can tell you, Remoto. Okay, hey, Remoto, I think it's better for you to turn off the TV and spend some time with your wife, right? And listen, talk about this issue. I can tell you that's why I get to, but if you don't, I'm not going to go in your house and turn the TV off, right?
Yeah.
So it's you to turn that TV off
Mhm.
and spend that time with your spouse.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
so that's that's um, just an example of some of the
Right.
tip we make them think
Yeah.
about it, and
Yeah.
I hope they do. That's
Yeah, but I think that's we talked about it. I think the key ingredient is building that trust, or
hmm
between you and people. I mean, because when they have those problems, they want to come talk to you. Because if they
yes.
don't know you, or if they don't kind of dislike us, whatever, they're not going to come to you. Or even if they come, they're going to kind of withheld. They're not going to be open. But I think the beauty of them coming to the chaplain, because the chaplain is neutral, and we see the chaplain as a man of God, the spiritual leader or spiritual advisor, you know. So yeah,
hmm
no, that's good. But true story though, I was the um, I was the first sergeant of the Air Assault School in Fort Campbell. All right, so I have one of my instructor. His wife also worked there, but she was one of our admin. So they've been go. I mean, I didn't know, but they were having some marital problems. So one day, we just I think got ready to go home, and they said, "You have a minute?" So this is the instructor. I said, "Yeah, what's going on? Come on." He said, "I'd like to bring my wife in." Okay, well, come on in. So they came in and they talk about, well, first, Arn, we're going through some marital problems right now. We're talking about divorce, and I said, okay, well, hey, come on in, sit down. It's 5:30 in the evening, right? I mean, I could easily say, hey, yo, tomorrow go see the chaplain, but getting me. I said, come on in. So, okay, what's going on? And they kind of went back and forth, and so after I listened to these two right here, right, I said, guys, listen, you know, it takes three. We always hear people say it takes two to make things work, but I'm telling you, it takes three. to make a relationship work. That's you, her, and God. When's the last time you guys went to church? Right? That was my, when's the last time you guys went to church? Oh, first sergeant, I have been to church since before I left home. That was the last time this is my instructor. What about you, the wife? She goes, I go occasionally with some friends, not with the wife. I said, okay, listen, let's do this. Because, the problem is you guys are leaning on your own, you're doing your own thing, but you're missing the key ingredient in bringing the relationship together, God. So I want you guys this Sunday, again, I can't make you do it, but you guys are both of my soldiers. So I'm counseling you guys, go to church and then pray about it, be serious about it. Then next week, Monday, let's talk about it again. Anyway, so Monday after work, we sat down and I says, how'd it go? Well, first one, actually, they kind of, we're working things through. I said, okay, I want you guys to be honest with me.
Good.
Okay, don't just tell me that the feel good stuff. Hey, yes, but reality. I want reality. I want the truth. He said, well, no, first on seriously, we went to church. It was really, it was a different feeling. We were sat together, we were holding hands, and blah blah blah, and I said, okay, whatever that feeling that you found there, if it's good feeling, that's the spirit right there telling you guys that this is what you should be doing all along. All right, so keep up the good work, guys. All right, and maybe sure I'll be the first one to know if you guys are going through this again. You hear? So anyway, they went on, and I, because they work with me, so I always kind of check on them and see how they're doing. But
That's
I
good.
left there.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was my marital counseling
Hey.
there. That's the first order.
Yeah. Yeah.
So anyway.
Hey, Chaplain. So the next question is, it's along the lines of your role as a counselor, and it deals with resiliency. And so, with soldiers with the resiliency issues, what is your approach with those soldiers? How does it typically arrive at your doorstep, and then how do you deal with it?
I really, I want to get to know them, because I want to know their background, where they come from. I want to know their religion. I want to know their families, because resiliency is, a resilient person. Resiliency involved three things to me. One, the physical resiliency. Another is mental, and the third one is spiritual, right? So getting to know a soldier, where they come from, and their struggle, will give me an opportunity to see if is it a mental struggle, issue that these soldiers going through. The things, one of the things we need to learn is to accept the fact that mental illness is a disease. Okay, mental illness is a disease. It's not something, how we feel like, you just use that, or it's something bad. It's something bad, or we devalue that. To me, I more and more I believe mental illness is a disease that we really need to accept that it's just like, okay, if somebody has a cancer, how do we feel about that? How do we see that person? We see it as a person that have an illness, right? We don't demean the person who has a cancer. But somebody who has a mental illness, we look at that person differently, right? So, so what I'm saying here is, okay, if I know this person struggle with mental illness, or what I wanted to do is make sure, okay, this person need a provider to help him or her, right? This person needs that, because the medication or the treatment, that's what this individual needs in order to stay resilient, right? So that's part of that. The physical part of it, what with the military requires us to be in certain physical fitness. Okay, that is very important. Because the kind of things we do in the military require the strength, the physical strength. Okay, and each one of us has a responsibility to make sure we are physically ready. However, our our physical fitness readiness related to our mental readiness, related to our spiritual readiness. That's to me. So we need to take care of ourselves physically, mentally, and spiritually.
Yeah.
So as I talk to, the spiritual side is where, to me, that's where the church come in. Part of it, of my spiritual readiness, the church helped me with that. Okay, my own personal studies and thing as I do as a person of faith, prayer, stuff like that. So, but it's very important for a person to connect it with the church, because we also know that a church is a support system for us. When we need that advice, the church can provide that. When we need that prayer, the church can provide that. When we need that education and the knowledge in a spiritual matter, the church can help us with that. So, even if in our marriage, right? In our marriage, our faith help us to stay resilient in our marriage. Life has up and downs. Life has challenge. Okay, life gives us stress. Okay, but whether in our relationship, in at work, but it's our faith that help to guide us and encourage us. Okay, to love our families, to do the right thing, no matter how we feel. Okay, no matter what is going on, is our faith that also help us when we physically tired. We lean into that faith. I know God is helping me to accomplish this. In our illness, what do? We pray to the God that we believe, right? To help us, to heal us. So I think it's out of those three things important. We need to take care of our body. That's something that, I know as a Samoan. Okay, let me speak of it. I like to eat. I'm telling you guys, I like food. But at the same time, okay, I know that the Army requires me to be, in certain physiology. Okay, that's always in my mind. So what I do, I want to make sure that I meet these Army requirements. Okay, do everything I can to meet these Army requirements and able to eat whatever I want to eat. It's when we, eat everything and not able to take care of ourselves,
Mm.
that's when the conflicts come into. And we know also that's how some of the struggle that we have. I'm just frankly speak with our people, right?
Yeah.
We have a problem with that because we love food,
Mm.
but we don't mentally accept it that I also need to do the best I can to make sure I meet these requirements for my job,
That's right.
right? And so I mentioned, you guys can, when we are not meet that requirements, they flat us or they,
You're on the
don't,
overboard of the
yeah,
Fat Boy program. There you go.
don't get promoted, and
Yeah.
get all the other issues,
Yeah.
but it's something, and I, as a Samoan, I know, I see that's the thing, understanding who I am,
Yeah.
okay?
Yeah.
And as a Samoan, I know I love food. I know, but at the same time, I
Mm.
say, hey,
You got to
there
push off
are,
the table, right?
yes,
You got to know when to push off the table.
there you
Yeah.
go.
There's
You
nothing
gotta
wrong with
know.
eating. Yeah. Yeah.
You gotta know that, hey, if I eat this much, I need to run this much. Am I
Yeah.
right?
Yes, sir. No, that's good. I like the you mentioned there the overall. You got to have that balance. Your spiritual, your physical, and your emotional state.
Yeah.
It's that three-legged stool
Mm-hmm.
that if one's missing, it will be lopsided. Or will fall over. So
Mm-hmm.
you always got to have that balance in those three to maintain so it'll stay on the
Yeah.
top. So no, that's good. I like that, Chaplain. I appreciate that. So now we've all been in the military for a little bit, and the military we conduct these routine prayer breakfasts. Uh, we also have these weekly Bible studies, men and women weekly devotions. We also have youth programs and many other faith promoting programs that in the unit ministry. So from your as a senior chaplain, why are these essential in promoting spiritual fitness? I mean, I know
But
they are, but
yeah, I think one of the is bringing people together.
mm,
That's one part is bringing the team together, the community together in these functions, uh, and also is a way to encourage soldiers and family members and civilians about faith and their spirituality. It gives value to 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 the faith, whether uh, to to religion, as and to the faith, the spirituality side of who we are. Is a reminding of faith is important. Faith is important. It's not something um, that we just thinking, is not important, because we just talk about the physical part of who we are, the mental part, and the spiritual side part of it. So those events we do is to bring the community together, uh, recognize the value of faith in our life, okay, and then also to remind everybody's the importance of be faithful, of faithfulness uh, in your own belief and religion.
I
you have a
think
question from our audience? I can't see it, but I'm just Yeah. No, but you're absolutely right. I mean, I think those are also critical. I wrote down the sense of community or sense of belonging, and friends also promoting that faith. But really, I like the aspect of it brings people together. Because that's what, just like any event that we do,
Hmm.
PT in the morning, that's bringing people together.
Yeah.
It's doing those routine things routinely.
Hmm.
You guys, Sally?
Yep.
You have a question? Okay, go ahead.
So this is this is a question from Facebook from Colonel Leato, and he was asking, for soldiers who don't believe in God, how do chaplains get after the spiritual resiliency?
It's it's not about us.
Mm. Uh,
It's about that individual, and what they believe. So it's okay. For me, it's okay. What do you need from me to help you in what you believe? Okay, and then if that's because it's not about it's not about me. It's about that soldiers and what does that soldier need or want from me to help him or her in her situation.
yeah.
Um, and I mean, you know, because spirituality is different to that individual who's not who does not believe in God.
Yeah.
So even though he or she does not believe in God, he or she believe in something.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know.
No, and
So
that's a good point. I mean, I think that's a good question from Colonel Legato. But
yeah.
I think you're absolutely right. I think you know, you mentioned that in the very beginning too, Chaplain, during conversation. Everybody worship differently.
Yep.
The Jews, the Gentiles.
Yeah.
Everybody. Even though that for us as Christian, we know that we worship the living God. But for those that
Hmm.
don't believe in God, they worship in a different way. We may
Yeah.
not agree with the way they worship, but that's their prerogative. That's
Yes.
their right.
Absolutely.
You allude to in the beginning. I got my notes here that one of your responsibilities is provide the environment
Uh
for
huh.
everyone, to worship the way they worship.
Hmm.
So hey, if I'm Samoan, I like to go. I've had my own religion. I just need a room to go, do my thing. Okay, hey chaplain, okay, hey, here's a little room. But you're
Yeah.
right. I think everybody is different, and not everybody, believes the same way we believe. But I think that's what you mentioned earlier is providing the environment, providing the what you call it is giving them the tools and the so they can worship in every way in the way they worship. So I think that's kind of no, and I think that's a good question. I can see questions.
I
Sorry.
think it's a I think it's a very good question because I guess part of that question is to everybody. How do you feel if you work with somebody who's not a believer,
Yeah,
or does not believe in God?
yeah,
What
yeah.
because
Well, I mean, those work conversation like that, I
uh
mean,
huh
some of us have those at work. I mean, it's like,
uh
when
huh
they say they don't believe in God, I said, so what do you believe in? Oh, I have my own God. I said, really? Who's that? And then but I think you mentioned the key thing is that mutual respect,
yep
because they're going to respect you,
uh
with your
huh
God, and we just got to respect them the same way. I mean, we have those conversations at work, but I
hmm
think for us, we don't throw the sink and everything else. We don't get, belittle people, but rather we respect, people with their, even though in your mind that you don't agree with, but again, you just gotta show the respect. Okay, no, well, that's pretty
yeah
cool. Well, thank you, man. Thanks for sharing your view. It's not my view, but that's his view.
yes.
All right. Well, let's keep moving. Let's keep moving.
All right. So this next question here is, um, What is your go-to scripture and why?
But it's,
Chaplain's
know,
always full of scriptures.
yeah. I guess we all know. I like the Psalm 23.
Mm.
Because Psalm 23, to me, there's a lot of, when it says, "The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want." Okay.
Mm.
It speaks a lot to me. Okay, because and then goes in, he makes me lie down in green pastures. To me, it's just okay. When I am in a situation that is so challenged and overwhelming,
Mm.
that psalm remind me that God will give me a place of peace, because that's what green pastures are.
Mm.
I'm just looking at it. He gives me a place of peace.
Yeah.
Okay, in the midst of this challenge, at work or at life, the Lord gives me a place of peace. And then he says, he leads me into still water. He restored my soul.
Mm.
Calmness. And there he will restore my soul. And he leads me to righteousness, for his sake. And then it goes into this whole section that says, even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, and I ask to myself, what kind of valley am I experiencing right now? Maybe my valley is that, okay, at that moment is I am having issue with this commander,
Mm.
right?
Yeah.
Maybe it's not, that's, I interpret that way. What is my struggle right now I'm going through? What are some of the challenges I'm going through? Work, family, illness.
Mm.
Okay, that's to me, that's a value.
Yeah.
Okay? But and then he goes into, but what? Even though I walk through the valley of shadow of death,
Oh, fear no evil.
he's with me.
Yeah. Wow.
That's to me, maybe it's a well-known
Yeah.
scripture, but it's when I think about, go deep into it, it's really
Yeah. It's more meaningful. Yeah. It's a lot of meaning to it.
more meaningful, more powerful
Yeah.
to me.
Yeah.
So
Oh, you're right, Chaplain. Every Samoan kid know to memorize
yeah,
the Psalm 23.
Someone,
Yeah.
yes.
But you're right though. We don't really know what it really means as a little kid, because you was just memorizing. But
yeah,
until we get to grown and kind of reflect and say, oh, there's a lot
yeah.
of meaning behind this thing here. I mean,
There
that
is.
valley could be that deployment.
Oh yeah,
Hey,
that's
yeah,
absolutely a value
that's a
that
big
deployment.
valley right there. And
Yeah,
then uh,
illness.
disease, the COVID.
Disease.
Yeah.
If you were like, okay, I want my army to be a career, and then you get into something that will
Mm.
challenge you, um, like an illness that may um, keep you from reach that goal,
Mm.
that can be a valley.
Yeah,
So
that's right. Yeah. No, that's good. I think most of Samoans, that's probably one of their favorite scriptures. Psalm 23. I mean, I think I think like so that's something that we memorized when we were growing up as kids, and because it's also in the church. When when the pastor gets to that portion, everybody kind of repeats the Psalm 23 along with the chaplain. With a you know. But it's funny though, years ago when our kids are young, one of the things that we did is, it's like everybody, all my kids, you got to have a favorite scripture, a spiritual thought. So when we have family prayer, okay, I can call on any one of my kids. Hey, okay, so and so. Okay, you say So my son Tim, our oldest, his favor is always, Jesus wept. Okay, that's like his go-to scripture. Okay, Tim, you got our scripture, our spiritual thought. Jesus wept. Okay, why did Jesus wept? And then so, but again, I think one of the reasons we asked that, because all of us, even our viewers, we all have that favorite scripture all are favorite, but that one scripture that brings us comfort, that brings us peace in time, in trying times, that brings us, a reminder of something, what the love of God or the love of the Savior thing. So we always have those favorite scriptures. So that's good. Solid, do you have a favorite scripture you want to share?
For God so loved the world that he gave his one and only begotten Son, that whosoever believes in him shall not perish but have everlasting life.
Right. There you go. So we all have those,
Yeah.
and so and I'm sure that was like I said, those are a good reminder to all of us. Hey, we got all the pain that we're going through today and all the trials and tribulation. You got to think of what he went through. And the love that Heavenly Father had for us by sending Him, Jesus Christ, for us. So, all right, let's try not to be preachy. So let's move on here. Well, that's good. Thanks, Chaplain, for sharing that. That well-known scripture there, and it's a lot of meaning to it. So, Chaplain, so this one here is like, what Saleh wants to become a military chaplain. What would your advice? How should he prepare, or what should he start doing now? To achieve that goal of becoming a chaplain.
One of the challenge is the army or the military requirements. Two main requirements, but also can be challenged. One is the education level. Every chaplains in the military, they must have a master's degree. So that's the level of education.
Is that in a specific field, like in divinity, or just a master's degree?
Now, and in specific field depend on your church requirements. Most of the Christian community, Christian faith, is the Master of Divinity, and some church is just a master degree in social science. That's so. But the army requirements, the military requirement is the master degree. But let me so that we all understand why I say that, what the process. If I wanted to become a chaplain, I cannot just apply to become a chaplain. I have to go through my church. Okay, the church has a responsibility to first ordain me, okay, to be a minister. Second, is to recommend me to the army to serve as a chaplain. So first, I have to meet all my church requirements, whatever that's set by the church. What kind of requirements that my church have for to ordain somebody to become a minister, right? So that's another main important thing is you have to be ordained by your church. So first, you will need to meet your church requirements, whatever your church requirement. So you need to find out from your church, what are the requirements for me to become a minister? Okay. And then when you meet that requirements, and then you ask your church, I wanted to become a chaplain. And then your church will recommend you to the chaplain, to the Army Chaplain Corps.
Okay. So pretty much endorsing you.
Yes,
Endorsement.
Right.
your church is an endorsing agency
Okay.
for you. You know, that's the thing about our MOS. I can't say, hey, I want to become a chaplain.
Yeah.
I have to go through my church
That's right.
first.
Okay.
And then my church, and then I, as an individual, will have to meet my church requirement to get ordained as a minister. So the ordination and the education level requirements, plus the physical, you pass the physical examination. You know, those are the three things
Okay.
that
Yeah.
has to happen.
Oh.
So, like the question is, how can I become a chaplain? So first of all, okay, is to ask your church, what are the requirements for me in order for the church to, because I want to be a chaplain, to recommend me to the Army or the Air Force or to the Navy.
Yeah. Well, I guess probably the other part of the question is, would you recommend going in as a military chaplain if Solid said, "Hey, I'm thinking of going in the military chaplain"? Would you recommend that?
Well, I will ask the first of all, I will ask Saleh, okay,
Why?
why do you want to go as a chaplain?
Mm.
And then I'll ask about, okay, what church do you belong to? Because that will, okay, and then I will talk about it. Okay, these are the requirements that I know.
Mm.
But I also wanted you to go and talk to your church,
Yeah.
and let them know this is what you wanted to do.
Mm.
You know,
Okay.
we can talk about other stuff, how, you know, like what we're doing right now, what the chaplain does.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. And then, you know, I can also share some of my experience. But the key is to meet that your church, doesn't matter what church you at, to meet your church requirement for you that you needed.
Yeah.
But you know, education, you know, the level, you know, because you have to get a master's degree, so it's really depend. Now the challenge is, okay, how old I am.
What is it? What's the age now? The age limit?
The age limit is 40 now.
40?
Oh,
Okay.
wow.
Yeah. There are times there's a waiver around some there.
Yeah.
You know, for Catholic priests, you can come in at 60.
Wow.
You know.
Okay, I'll go in as a Catholic priest then.
Yeah.
Well, here's the thing, though, right, Chaplain? So, Solid and I, through our experience in the military, we can count with one hand the number of Samoan chaplains in the military. I mean, at least, that we know of, you know. But what do you think? I mean, I guess the question is, we're not seeing many Samoan chaplains, or going in as chaplain. What do you think that is?
It's a great question. And here's, you know, I have my own theory and reason, but I would like to ask the audience, if anybody out there that tried to come in as a chaplain, what was their experience?
Yeah.
Who did they talk to, and what they told them?
Yeah. Well, that's good.
And you know, because yes, that's right. I asked that question myself. Why don't we have a lot of Samoans in a chaplain corps?
Yeah.
Because we have a lot of preachers.
Yes.
We have a lot of preachers. I just wonder what is the challenge? But I like to know from anybody out there if they try and what their experience, and maybe there we can find out, because I came in for it's I came in as a chaplain active duty at the age of 31.
Mm.
I was lucky enough that I went through the education requirements and did all my civilian experience as a minister,
Mm.
and also uh, at, a, at, a, at, a, at, a, at the same time I meet all the requirements for me to come in.
Yeah.
So, but for me, the church helped me through. They knew what to do.
Yeah.
They told me this is what you need to do.
Yeah.
So I wonder if anybody out there in the audience who try, and I want to know what's their experience.
Okay. No, that's good. I think that's a good challenge. I mean, we'll post it, there. I think the question's already out, and hopefully as we, after the show and as we see, they'll contact you. Hey, here's what but based on the,
Yeah.
from the viewers. But I can tell you, from my experience in the Army, and even in Samoa, for most of us that joined the Army from Samoa, the recruiters really is, I mean, I came in based on my scores, you know, and the need of the Army at the time. It wasn't no chaplain. It wasn't no. It was always, hey, just like me when I joined the Army. The recruiter said, hey, right now your scores are good for to be a supply in logistic. You know, I said, what is that? I said, oh, that's a guy that sits behind the counter and hand out equipment to the soldiers. I said, is that what you want to do? I don't care. I just want to go in the Army. And then nowadays we have recruiters there in Samoa, and it seems like they push more combat arms stuff. And why? Because a lot of our Samoa, they join combat arms. So when they go back to Samoa, they got their younger brothers or cousins and stuff like that. That's what they want to be. They want to be like their cousin, their brother, who's an infantry guy or who's a finance guy. So when they want to join the military, that's what they ask a recruiter for. Hey, I want to be like my brother. I want to be a airborne ranger. Can you get me there? Sure. But nobody has ever, because one is like, I don't think the chaplain has to be like you said. There's nowadays they have chaplain recruiters. Their main focus is recruiting folks for the chaplaincy. Not just for the rest of the army. Yeah. So and I tell you, I used to be with cadet command, and one of the big challenges that I've seen is uh, they're a lot of these recruiter, they're recruiting people for their MOS instead of
Mhm.
just what you're supposed to do as a recruiter. You're supposed to tell the soldier or the prospect a all the menu. What's on the menu? Here's all the MOSs and blah 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 that you're eligible for based on your scores. Blah blah, and then don't hold anything back, and then let the soldier or the person make the decision. So that's what I've seen. Even later on in the years, talking to people, I don't think it's not so much nobody wants to be a chaplain. I don't think we didn't have many Samoan chaplains that kind of push that.
Yeah.
Hey, look, you need to go in as a chaplain. Hey, I think you'd be
Yeah.
good. Yeah.
I one of the things I like to, I wonder if our church, our Samoan church, know the requirements, for somebody uh, to become a chaplain. That may be okay. I don't know yet. One of the things I like to do, if I have a chance, I'm glad you guys have me in here, is okay to talk about that. How can I become a chaplain? What are the things that I need to look at it to become a chaplain? And then the key is the church, okay? Because the church have the requirements for a person to accomplish in order for them to ordain you. Because and that's another thing. If the church does not, you have to be ordained by your church in order for the army or the Navy or the Air Force to accept you. So you have to be ordained by your church. You have to recommend it by your church, and then you have to meet the level of education, and then physically fit to be a soldier at your age, and that's another challenge for is the education, because if you think, okay, I am going to go and do this and come and do and accomplish my my education, the requirements, by the time you finish, you got to look at how old am I, because by the time if some people wanted, the prior service, they went to school. It takes at least the minimum of 2 years if you put all your effort into to accomplish a master's degree. Okay, is the minimum. The max is you can be 3 or 4 years. So now you talk about, okay, how old am I?
Yeah.
Because now you go against, and then what are the requirements? Because another requirement is you have to serve as a pastor for 2 years at the civilians before you come in. So now you have you have to serve 2 years as a pastor. You have to do other stuff in order to but every denomination that has dedicated who knows, but I don't know if our Samoan churches are aware of it. I don't know.
Yeah.
I can help. I can help explain it. But
Yeah. Yeah. Well, Chaplain, most of it, I mean, like I said, I don't think, I think if there's, if anybody wants to be a chaplain, I mean, really just like anything else, if you want to be an astronaut, you just got to Google, most of the requirements is spelled out there. So we got all the information to think, the tip of our fingers and stuff like that. But I think the main thing is like, it's a desire. I mean, you have the desire right from high school to be a chaplain, and you were able to endure that going through school, classes, training, do it, your assistant pastor and all that stuff. And then you went into you already have that lined up for you because that's what you wanted to happen. Maybe your parents support that. A lot of our Samoan kids here, I mean, I'm sure if they really want to be a chaplain, they will go that route, but I think their thing is, what do they call it? Hey, we need to get it. I need to get in the army now. I need to make some money to support my family. And I think that could be it. I mean, I think education, the amount of time that you had to go through education and then all the other commitment before you even get into the army, I think that could sway, some. But I guarantee if it's like, oh no, hey, it's just like basic training. You join up, you sign up, you go to basic training, and then you go to chaplain school. I guarantee there'll be more Samoans become chaplain. I'm not saying it's an easy quest. I mean, you got the description is not physically demanding as combat arms stuff like that. But if you have that choice, I guarantee there'll be more Samoans, more islanders to become chaplain. But I think that could be one of the sway decisions is all that additional requirements up front before you even get there. So one of our Facebook question, says, really, have you engaged folks in Samoa currently attending Kanana Fo? If anyone is interested in becoming a chaplain, I'm not sure if that's possible. That's just a question from one of our viewers. So
these are great questions, and there again, I don't want it to speculate it, but I don't know. I think it's a requirement. Now we go back to the church. I think it's required by the church to go through Kanana Fo for at least 3 years, right? Now you talk about 3 years spending Kanana Fo. My question is, what kind of degree you graduate from Kanana Fo with it?
Yeah.
Right? Because if it's not a master's degree, for somebody who's attending Kananafo. Now, in order for you to become a chaplain, now you have to come here in the mainland or Hawaii and attended a school to get a master's degree.
That's right.
Now think about it, right? It's another 2 to 3 years. Okay.
Yeah.
And I think Kananafo, in order for you to pastor a church, you have to finish Kananafo, right? So now and the requirement is 2 years from the military for you have to do a 2 year of service as a pastor. So now you add 3 year Kananafo, 2 year of the pastor, and then you have to come and find a school for a master's degree. Because I don't know what degree when you graduate from Kananafo, what kind of degree you graduate with it is. And then another thing you all know as military, the school has to be accredited.
Yeah.
Right. So I know of one that is currently I don't know if he's still in what's his Tupua major, but he went to Kananafo. He came to the mainland and went to a school on the mainland to get a master's degree before he came in. So to answer that, have I engaged? I have engaged not Kananafo but minister of the church who graduate from Kananafo.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that could be the. I don't know. I mean, I don't think.
I don't know either.
I don't think it's a degree producing, school. I think it's just a requirement to go, all those requirements by the church, and then you get a certificate of, hey, a pastoral certificate. I'm not familiar, but that's the case.
I knew some of the chaplain assistant, the enlisted that were graduate from Kananafo. They went through Kananafo, but they enlisted as a chaplain assistant. So I guess that answer. I hope I answered the question.
Yeah. All right. Well, more to follow. I mean, for those for the and whoever answered the question, hey, thanks for the question. If the question's not clear, then hey, you can always come back and or text us again, and then we'll go from there. So all right, let's go ahead. Let's continue. Sorry.
All right, so here you go. My question: what is next for you in the Army, and what are your plans after the military?
Well, I know I can retire anytime now. That's one of plan. But I also, I am not met my mandatory retirement years of service or of age. So, I've been thought about it. I enjoy what I'm doing. I love what I'm doing. I am healthy enough to continue to do it. I guess I don't know if that's a plan or I thought through it. To me, I'm fine to retire as a 06. To me, the chaplain court is a very small MOS, and I am grateful that I am able to make an 06 only 2 positions in our corps that are general officers. So, being an 06 to me is a blessing. I tell you guys the truth, it's a blessing. Because, as it's a small corps and not, we don't have a lot of 06, but, to me, being an 06 in a chaplain corps is a blessing. And I'm proud being a Samoan in this MOS. To me, I'm very thankful. So um, I'm thankful. I'm blessed. Feel blessed to being a soldier, being a chaplain, a minister in the greatest military organization in the world, right? So those are my thoughts about my career.
Well, thanks a lot for that. It's but I guess my last question is, just to follow up on that. So, would you be the only chaplain colonel that was a Samoan, or the
Uh,
first Samoan chaplain who made it
I,
to 06?
I only say it because you guys ask. The answer is humbly say yes. I'm the first in the history of any of the branch, unless a Samoan 06 chaplain.
Wow.
So anybody can do it. I mean, I never, as growing up, I want to be in the military. I never thought I was going to be a chaplain. And then I wanted to go as far as I can, and now I'm 06, and I'm thankful. I just very, very grateful to God to be able to be in this level. I'm not. I was. Here's the thing I want to share with everybody. You think, okay, you have to be having higher IQ, okay, to become. I was not. I was a good student. I was a B student. I was not an A student. But the thing is, it takes dedication, commitment, uh, faith. It's faith, dedication, commitment, and loving what you do to do well. That's just some things I just want to share with anybody who wants to become a chaplain. Just come on, you never know until you get in and navigated your life. And the thing I always said to myself, trust the Lord. And doesn't matter what kind of assignment I have, or whatever assignment is to me, it's not the assignment. It's what I do with that assignment. And that's my thought throughout. Trust the Lord, be faithful to God, to my best at where I am. I think so. Major,
Hey,
you're
it's
mute.
on mute.
No, saying one of our church leader in past once said that it doesn't matter where you serve, but it's how you serve.
Yep.
Pretty much kind of what you said. It's hey, it's not about the position. It's not about. It's about what you do in the positions, and it's about people, you know. So, Sally, you have another question, Sally? Okay.
Good to go,
So,
Shay.
while y'all were talking, and also for our viewers, I was able to Google, the Kanana Fold as a requirement. So in the past, Kanana Fold, you attend, and you will receive a certificate in theology upon completion. But then they said today, Kanana Fold now offers a Bachelor of Divinity program. So as well as a certificate of theology. So for women, studies for women. So so yes, it is now. So now there is a Bachelor of Divinity. So that means you still got a couple more years for that master's.
Yeah.
After that.
Yeah,
So
because depend on some of the school they accepted transfer credits.
sure. Yeah.
So you may
Yeah.
you know
Mm.
they may take all the credits from the bachelor degree, and all you need is 1 year.
Yeah.
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 Um,
Okay. Well, Chaplain. So we've talked with you for the last couple of hours. We appreciate all your your insights. You're sharing us your story, your success, but you're a very humble man, and we appreciate you. But then, so I don't know if you answer. What's after the military? Are you gonna go? Are you gonna get you into ministry, or is you gonna go do something else?
I
Life after the military. What do you plan on doing?
If they let me, one of the things I want to do, I want to uh, train church leaders.
Nice. Yeah.
That's what in my heart, and so um, if I have that opportunity, that desire of that I have is to train church leaders. You know,
Mm.
um, and if and then helping out with the church, volunteer or whatever in a ministry. But I feel like that's another thing about the military. This great experience, you know, uh, the people we meet, the training um, so I wanted to do those. I wanted to train leaders, church leaders. That's
Yeah. Well, if you think it, and if you pursue it, if it's something that you want to do it, and with God's help, you know,
yes.
God provide a way. Will always provide a way for us to accomplish the things that we want to accomplish. But as long as our heart's in it. All right. Well, as it has been a great conversation for the last couple hours. I mean, Chaplain, we thank you, but we thank our viewers for taking time to join us. We appreciate your comments and your questions. Chaplain, again, it was an honor for Sal and I to host you on Toa Talk. And again, we thank you for willing to come on Toa Talk and share your story. So thanks for sharing your story, and hope that your story will inspire anyone aspiring to become a chaplain, yeah, a military chaplain, that is. And for all our viewers, you've heard the challenge from our chaplain, Liao. Hey, you can do it. If something that you want to do it, I mean, they want to do, there's always a way. And of course, he's be a great source, of information. Can reach out to him and pick his brain and have a conversation, and he will get you squared away if that's the route that you want to go. So appreciate all of you guys tonight. Thanks for taking time out. So we'll close this segment now with inspiring quotes from Father Stu, played by Mark Wahlberg. All right. So, and some of those spiritual, we shouldn't pray for an easy life, but the strength to endure a difficult one. My suffering is a gift from God. In this life, no matter how long it lasts, it's a momentarily affliction preparing us for eternal glory. It ain't giving up. It ain't the giving up. It's a giving for. Like anything, it's the struggle that brings you closer to God. So true. And then God, doesn't promise our stories will make sense, but he does promise they will find their greater purpose if we're patient. So patience is a virtue that everybody does not have. I mean, but we can, if we practice and try every day with the Lord's help, we will find patience. So until next time, thank you and God bless you. Good night.
Thank you.
All
Thank
right.
you.
Awesome.